All right, let's get right into it. There's this huge, powerful myth that sits right at the heart of almost every big business transformation. It's this idea that if you just spend a ton of money on the newest, shiniest, most AI-powered software out there, you're going to magically fix your company. It's a really tempting story, but that's all it is, a story. I mean, on the surface, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? You go out, you buy the best-in-class tool, and you should get best-in-class results. That's the promise, right? That's the whole sales pitch. So this has to be true.
Wrong. And look, this one fundamentally flawed idea is where billions of dollars, not to mention countless hours of work, just go to waste. Every single year. And this really gets to the heart of it. The companies that fail, they get swept up in what we can call tech enthusiasm. They get distracted by all the cool pilot programs, the endless lists of features, and whatever the latest AI hype is. But the organizations that actually succeed, they focus on something way less glamorous: managerial discipline. They're focused on the hard, gritty work of defining workflows, setting up governance, and actually measuring real business outcomes. So what is the winning formula then? Well, it's not about leading with software. It's about leading with a really clear management playbook. And it's built on 5 key disciplines that have everything to do with how you manage work itself. The first discipline starts right here, probably at a whiteboard, long before anyone even sees a software demo. The winning teams are mapping out who is responsible for what decisions need to be made at each step, and how does work get handed off from one person or one team to the next. The technology has to serve that workflow, not the other way around. And this is just so important, because when you start with a workflow, you ground your whole project in reality. You avoid that trap of just running a bunch of endless, disconnected experiments. And instead, you can focus on building a real system for scalable transformation. Okay, the second discipline is all about data. Look, you just cannot build reliable AI or get valuable insights if it's all built on a foundation of messy, fragmented, inconsistent data. It won't work. The successful organizations, they know that getting data right isn't just some IT cleanup project. No, it's a fundamental leadership decision about how the entire enterprise is going to operate. And let's be crystal clear about what happens when you skip this step. If you layer fancy AI over bad data, you're not fixing your problems. All you're doing is helping your company make the same old mistakes, but faster than ever before. That's not transformation. It's an acceleration of confusion, and it is an incredibly expensive mistake to make. Now, the third discipline, this one is a major mindset shift for a lot of companies. So instead of treating your risk and compliance teams like the Department of No that you only bring in at the very last minute, the smartest firms, they involve them from day one. They get that proper governance is what makes it safe to innovate and scale things up. Think of governance less like a brake pedal and more like the guardrails on the highway, right? They don't actually slow you down. They create the safe conditions that let you go faster with confidence. Governance is what makes adopting this stuff at scale possible and legitimate. Discipline number 4 is all about changing human behavior. And let me tell you, a big, flashy announcement from the CEO, it's just not enough. You know what is? Your direct manager. Research from Gallup is super clear on this. When managers support a change, when they reinforce it day to day and make it part of the job, that's when employees actually adopt new tools. See, transformation doesn't stick because of some one-time ceremony or launch event. It sticks because of thousands of little weekly conversations where a manager clarifies expectations and signals that this new way of working is the only way of working now. It's a continuous process, not a single event. And that brings us to the 5th and maybe the most revealing discipline of all. It really boils down to one simple question. Do the leaders who are championing this brand new system actually use it themselves? Just think about the message it sends. A leader stands up on stage demanding everyone use the new platform, but then they go back to their desk and keep running things through old email chains and hidden spreadsheets. What they're doing is teaching the entire organization that the official system, it's just for show. The real work happens through the back channels, and that kind of inconsistency absolutely kills trust and any momentum you had. Now, the really powerful thing about this 5-part logic is that it applies everywhere. Manufacturing, healthcare, finance, you name it. And the reason it scales so well is because it helps you reframe one of the biggest challenges you'll ever face: pushback from your teams. When your teams are resisting a new tool or a new process, The knee-jerk reaction is to see it as defiance, right? But the winning organizations, they see it totally differently. They don't punish resistance, they study it. They treat it as a valuable source of free data about what's actually broken in the system. That resistance, it's almost always a clear signal pointing you directly to a real operational problem. Maybe it's a broken handoff between teams, or maybe there's ambiguity about who really owns a decision. It could be a trust gap with leadership, bad data in the system, or just a fundamental lack of clarity in the workflow. Resistance is your diagnostic tool. Use it. So, okay, let's make this super actionable. How can you, as a leader, cut through all the hype and get to the real operational truth of your own transformation? Well, here's a toolkit you can start using right away. These are the 5 questions every single leader should be asking. Is our workflow truly defined? Is our data actually trustworthy? Is governance built in from the start? Are our managers equipped and trained to lead this change? And maybe most importantly, are we as leaders actually using the system ourselves? These questions shift the entire conversation away from tech features and toward what really matters: accountability and value. So if there's one single takeaway from all of this, it's this. The companies that are creating real, tangible value from AI and ERP, they aren't the ones who just bought the best software. They are, quite simply, the ones who manage better.
You know, the great management thinker Peter Drucker, he would have looked at these 5 disciplines and probably called it nothing more than ordinary fundamental management. And you know what?